growing up, all the way up until that freshman and sophomore year, I was a lot more focused on baseball. You know, I wanted to go to college for baseball, I wanted to go to the MLB. I thought about basketball, but I didn't think about it to the same extent. My junior year of high school basketball, I started getting recruited more. We went undefeated for a while. And so I was putting up good numbers, and my friends and teammates were putting up good numbers. So it was hard to not notice us, because a couple of my guys played on the AAU circuit. And so they're great players, you know, we were having fun. And I think that really helped me get noticed, because I was a part of a winning team and doing well. But sadly, I got hurt. From my parents, you know, whenever I was a little kid, they put me in a lot of different sports, you know, soccer, football, baseball, basketball, just to kind of get myself out there and to help me choose what I wanted to do. They didn't really force anything on me. And I'd say the first time that I really decided that I was ready for just to solely focus on basketball, I was in my freshman, sophomore year of high school. And growing up, I played it, and I was really more serious with baseball.
I absolutely think there's a benefit to recruiting multi-sport athletes. I mean, you know, you get to see Mason out on the basketball floor, and maybe you don't get to see some of his explosion from point A to point B because he's in the post quite a bit. But then you go watch his baseball game and you see him hit that ball, and you see him take off to first or round first and get to second, and you see those bursts of speed. You know, all of that stuff absolutely translates from one sport to another. But with Mason, you know, the competitive piece, that's the piece that no matter what sport he played, he always had and just magnifies each and every day with him.
And then once I started getting a little bit bigger and better and liking basketball more, I kind of just flipped over to basketball, and it really was just a role reversal. Thank my parents for not forcing me to stay with baseball or force me to stay with basketball. So that helped me choose myself and make me feel good about my decision.
From day one, you know, Coach Painter said, hey, this is my kind of guy. He fits everything that Purdue is about. He plays hard, he's gritty, he's tough, he's got a good IQ, and he's skilled.
But sadly, I got hurt. I got hurt my first game of my junior summer. I don't have very many videos or highlights of myself playing, but of course I have a video of the sole play. I'm on the right side of the court at the top of the key, and I drive to the middle of the basket and take a floater off my left foot. And I jump off my left foot, shoot a floater, and I come down, and I kind of get nudged off balance, but it's nothing crazy, it's just a little noticeable. And I came down, left foot, I think first, and then my right foot came down. And you can just see my knee go in just a little bit. And so I think that was the second time that I kind of injured it. The first time was in the regional championship against Marion, at Marion, my junior year, obviously. And so I had taken a charge, and I was getting picked up, and I sweat really, really bad. And so the floor was really sweaty, and they picked me up, and my foot slipped out. And I kind of felt it then, so I don't know for sure, but I just usually say both of those things, because I think that the combination of the two ended up creating my injury. My first surgery was just, he took out a little bit of my meniscus because he saw a tear in it. And so after a while, I think it was a month or two, I had finished the rehab and was starting to come back to return to play type things on the court. And I tried to play in a game or two, and it just wasn't feeling right. It was still swollen. Again,
you know, Mason was a guy that Coach Painter identified early. So when he gets hurt and can't play, I mean, there's never a doubt in our minds that we feel once healthy, he's going to be a really productive player.
We went to another doctor, Dr. Krimchek down in Cincinnati. He's a Cincinnati Reds doctor. And right whenever he came back inside, he said two options. after he saw the MRI. He said 2 options. You can either not have the surgery and do rehab and play your senior year of high school, or you can have the surgery and you're going to be out. And you might be able to be back for Purdue, but that's going to be the time period of when you're going to be getting back into it. And so I had to take the long-term option. You know, it was very, very tough at first and the whole time of my senior year. But I knew that the long-term option would be better for my future.
So at that point, you know, Coach Painter and the staff, we just kind of talked to him about, okay, here, moving forward, what is going to be the plan? So you're going to have surgery when? Well, we would like to loop our doctors into this equation. And then, you know, you loop Chad Young into the equation, our trainer, and we just kind of monitor everything that he's doing, you know, from the surgery till the day he arrives on campus.
Missing 1 year, you know, it was tough. But looking back on it, where I'm at now, I wouldn't have made a different decision. You know, whenever my mom heard the news, she started crying because she knew what we had been working for and what was potentially at stake. And I just told her that it could be a lot worse. You know, other people are in tough situations, and this is just a knee surgery. If I come back from it, great. If I don't, there's other things to life. But at the time, like when I heard it, I was like, I got this, like we can do it, it's gonna take forever, and it did take forever. It was miserable a lot of times in the middle of it, but looking back on it, it was all worth it. The surgery was, I had a lateral release of my kneecap. That's where they just cut a couple muscles, I'm pretty sure, to make the alignment of it in a better area. And then he took out some more of my meniscus and did a microfracture. I'm not entirely sure which bone he drew a couple holes into, but I knew that the microfracture is to help cells regrow and have better cartilage in that area. And so a couple weeks after that, we had a series of PRP and stem cells injected into my knee. And that was probably one of the more painful things that I had ever done, because they had to extract some bone marrow out of my hip, and that was really, really bad. But obviously, like, it's paying off and it's helping. So I was happy that I trusted them and I listened to them to a T.
The good thing about Mason is that he's a tremendous worker and he's very focused. And you know, he was itching obviously to get back out on the basketball floor, but he never pushed the envelope so hard that he injured himself or re-injured himself. He was very diligent about the process.
And nothing ever changed from Purdue. You know, from the start of them recruiting me till the end of kind of the recruitment and me getting here, nothing's ever changed. You know, they never lied to me. The things that they told me before my knee surgery were the same things that they told me after my knee surgery.
You know, he was a priority early on, and the injury, you know, it didn't deter us in terms of what we felt he could provide once he got healthy. Well, when Mason arrived on campus, you know, he hadn't played in, boy, probably 18 to maybe even a little bit longer, you know, or so months. So he felt like he was a little bit behind, but he always competed every single day in practice and gave his effort. It never wavered. So when the season rolls around, you know, every freshman thinks that they're going to walk in and start. That's just kind of the way it is.
After talking to Coach Painter, he was honest. He said, you know, we have a bunch of players this year, and I don't think that you're going to get that much playing time with the players that are ahead of you right now. So I think the best option would be the redshirt year. And at first I was taken aback because I wasn't ever really expecting a redshirt. I didn't ever really believe that I was going to redshirt. You know, just the competitive spirit. I thought that I had the chance and the capability of eventually fighting for a spot. And, you know, he was honest with me. He told me everything, like he brought out numbers, different guys' names, how he wanted the year to go, how he thought the year would go. I was okay with that because he was honest with me, and he told me that if I did this, just like how I handled my knee surgery, I'm just setting myself up for the future.
Mason is also a very logical and rational thinker. So when we broached the subject of redshirting, I think that it took a little bit of time to set in, but he knew that for the long picture, that it would be best for him because he's going to have a very productive 4 years.
Bounce out. That back to him. You did your job.
You know, it was like truly just a year that you needed. You might not have been completely ready, but that didn't mean that you were a bad player by any means. You just weren't ready, simply. And the year is very short, again, in the long term of things.
So when Mason decided to redshirt, you know, one of the next steps is obviously to identify some goals and things that he needs to work on. And as I alluded to earlier, when he played in high school or when he played in AAU, he was thrust into the post quite a bit. So one of our big goals was to, you know, improve his outside skills and his guard skills. So particularly just being able to become a really good three-point shooter, being able to handle the ball, being able to pass the ball and guard on the perimeter.
Rebound! Come on, man. Yeah,
Mason Gillis, the redshirt freshman out of Newcastle, playing in a competitive basketball game for the first time in 985 days.
Yeah, I forgot what it felt like, to be honest, to walk on the court and to really play against live competition. I never really get nervous for games, but that game I was definitely nervous. You know, all the work I had put in, I knew I had put it in, but it had just been so long and like such a new experience getting out on the court for the first time.
Stefanovic, top of the key. Mason Gillis, he will shoot a three. He banked it in. Mason Gillis banks in a three from the top of the key.
The bank is open, but we will take it. That's a nice moment for Mason to get his first bucket of his career.
And there were so many nerves. You know, I was anxious. I was juiced up. Anything you want to name it. You know, I was just ready to go.
Down low to Gillis, now to Ivy from the right elbow. Pull up jump shot, good.
Once I was kind of in the groove, it felt amazing. You know, it hurts something that you really love getting taken away from you, but once it finally comes back, it's a great feeling.
Really high basketball IQ play there by Mason Gillis, just finding the opening in the zone, and then a great pass to Sasha Stefanovic in the corner.
As Mason Gillis makes a three from the high left wing.
Starting at forward, a 6'6" freshman from Newcastle, Indiana, number 0, Mason Gillis.
Well, Mason kind of came into a perfect storm because our team lacked a little bit of toughness. We maybe didn't play quite as hard as maybe some teams in the past, and obviously that is Mason's forte.
He plays hard, he competes, he lays on the line, he's a team guy.
So he just willed himself and worked himself into the starting lineup. It wasn't like anyone did anything wrong. It's more that Mason, you know, he just took it.
Yeah, I'd say the combination of basketball being taken away and redshirting put a huge chip on my shoulder. You know, I sometimes, whenever I'm tired or like I don't want to do something in basketball, I just think about when I couldn't do it and how I felt and what I wanted to do at that time. And now I have the chance and I'm capable to do it. And so I don't ever really want it taken from me again.
But when you play hard, you can lead by example. And I certainly think that he fits that bill 100%. And Mason Gillis, he's Matt Painter's. I mean, Purdue always seems to have at least one or two of these guys, whatever you want to call them, glue guys, hustle guys, effort players. Mason is maybe more skilled than just that.
You know, Mason, you know, and we've talked a lot about his competitiveness. And obviously that's a huge intangible for him to have. But as good a competitor he is, he's an even better teammate. I mean, the guys like him, they love to compete against him, and win or lose, he's always there for them. You know, we have a lot of younger guys on this current team who really care about Purdue basketball, and I would think that Mason is at the top of the list.
Whenever I was playing baseball, I never really thought that I was going to be on a Big Ten basketball team. And so looking on that now, like, it kind of like I had to take a deep breath, honestly, because I've worked so hard for it, and I know I deserve to be here. But it's still sometimes hard to believe that I'm actually here, I'm starting. You know, it's just a lot of hard work and dedication.
Instead, Gillis on the outside, drills the three, and a monster shot by the freshman.